Hi, I'm Harry from PC Gamer, and I'm here to help you out with some top tips for Loop Hero. Looking like a forgotten PC classic, Loop Hero doesn't explain itself. It's a pre-internet style RPG roguelite with secrets and hidden techniques for you to discover and share with fellow warriors, rogues, and necromancers. In that spirit, I'm here with some Loop Hero guidance. If you're struggling to figure out how to use certain cards, or just want to know how to build an unstoppable rogue with their own personal force field, I've got you covered. As you run rings around your enemies and earn more loot and equipment, it's tempting to immediately swap in brighter coloured, higher leveled gear. But you should know that rarer, shinier stuff isn't universally better. Hover over an item to reveal its stat boosts. Starting with a single boost on grey, equipment progresses through blue, yellow, and finally orange, with those rarest of items adding 4 stat boosts. But although higher level gear should equate to bigger numbers, those numbers might not be the ones you care about most. Why focus on HP regen if you're usually at max HP? If your attack speed is high, do you really need plus 10% counter? Stick with a lower leveled or lower rarity item if it provides something useful to your character class, like crit chance for the rogue. There isn't one single path to victory in Loop Hero, but we've had the most success with each class by building up these character stats through cards and gear. For a warrior, you want to maximise HP, paired with HP restoration. Meadows boost HP restoration at the start of each loop, while rocks and mountains boost base HP. That's on top of any regen gear you pick up from enemies. Rogues perform best with increased attack speed, evasion, and crit chance. Necromancers should focus on magic HP, with max skeletons and increased attack speed, allowing you to summon skeletons as rapidly as possible. Later in the game you'll want to use camp items from your supply to accentuate these stats even further. This is unlocked by building structures such as the mud hut at your camp, and it lets you choose items to give your hero small passive buffs. The Necromancer is a particularly good example of why you should scrutinise gear before swapping it in. Some lower level rings will grant +1 skeleton, which can make a massive difference in extended fights, and is preferable over many items even 3 or 4 levels higher. You shouldn't worry about letting your looted equipment fill up either. When you hit max capacity in your inventory and earn a new item, the oldest item becomes a piece of scrap metal, which is one of the more valuable basic resources for building camp structures. Don't play every card that enters your hand. The green map completion bar in the upper left corner corresponds with how many tiles populate the board. The boss spawns on your campfire once you've placed a certain amount of cards. Watch this bar closely to make sure you spawn the boss when you're confident in your gear, HP, and level. If you play every card that comes into your hand willy-nilly, you'll end up fighting the boss much sooner than you may like. This means cards will get scrapped without being used, but that's okay. Once your hand fills the bottom row of the screen, discarded cards actually become a useful resource you can use at camp. You can also use Oblivion cards to undo less effective card placements, which will reduce the boss's progress bar just a little. There are lots of secret tile effects waiting to be discovered, and you can find out all about the important ones in our Loop Hero card combinations guide, linked in the description. For example, don't just throw meadow cards down wherever there's open space. Instead, place them next to a mountain, a building, or almost anything really, and watch them transform into a blooming meadow, an enhanced version that provides even more daily HP. Most tiles have some kind of unique interaction, positive or negative. A great combination is the 3x3 mountain peak. Adjacent rock or mountain cards boost your hero's HP by 5 points, but turning them into a mountain peak gives you a huge 120 HP boost. Just beware the harpies that spawn from them every 2 loops. You can only create one 3x3 mountain peak per expedition, but using Oblivion to break it down and then build it up again with another rock or mountain will grant you the same resource rewards a second time, though the HP boost remains the same. Loop Hero can be a grindy game if you die often, and each time you die, 70% of your resources are lost. When you're within one tile of your campfire, you can tap out of a run and retreat to camp with all of your collected resources by hitting the highlighted button in the lower right of the screen. It's a totally valid strategy to go on resource runs, cash out, and not focus as much on killing a boss. Just note that there's a maximum carrying capacity mid-expedition, though some abilities can expand it. Abilities matter a lot. Village cards unlock a new XP and level mechanic, and once you fill that XP bar, you're given a choice between 3 random abilities from a class-specific ability table. It's definitely possible to get unlucky with what you draw here, but for the rogue, Cross your fingers for the ability that grants a 75% chance to spawn a pet, which can tank a little damage and deal it back. And that's a wrap. That should be enough to slice through more than a few rounds of slimes, skeletons, and harpies in Loop Hero. For more helpful tips and other game guides, visit pcgamer.com.